So in California, the seasons are a bit different, and fall and spring do join one another seamlessly. It's October now, and the narcissus and paperwhites are starting to come up in my garden. So this poem takes no liberties with the facts. Pyracantha and Plum. Last autumn's chastened berries still on one tree, spring blossoms, tender, hopeful, on another. The view from this window much as it was 10 years ago, 15. Yet it seems this morning a self-portrait, both clearer and darker, as if while I slept, some Rembrandt or Bruegel had walked through the garden, looking hard. The Envoy. One day in that room, a small rat. 2 days later, a snake, who, seeing me enter, whipped the long stripe of his body under the bed, then curled like a docile house pet. I don't know how either came or left. Later, the flashlight found nothing. For a year I watched as something, terror, happiness, grief, entered and then left my body, not knowing how it came in, not knowing how it went out. It hung where words could not reach it. It slept where light could not go. Its scent was neither snake nor rat, neither sensualist nor ascetic. There are openings in our lives of which we know nothing. Through them the belled herds travel at will, long-legged and thirsty, covered with foreign dust. This poem is called The Poet, and what I had in mind when I was writing it were all the poets whom I will never read, who might live in places where they can't be published, write in languages that might never be translated into English, and yet I know such people are doing some of the most essential work, and it matters that it be written. The Poet. She is working now in a room not unlike this one, the one where I write or you read. Her table is covered with paper. The light of the lamp would be tempered by a shade where the bulb's single harshness might dissolve, but it is not. She has taken it off. Her poems, I will never know them, though they are the ones I most need. Even the alphabet she writes in, I cannot decipher. Her chair. Let us imagine whether it is leather or canvas, vinyl or wicker. Let her have a chair, her shadeless lamp, the table. Let one or two she loves be in the next room. Let the door be closed, the sleeping ones healthy. Let her have time and silence, enough paper to make mistakes and go on. The Weighing. The heart's reasons seen clearly. Even the hardest will carry its whip marks and sadness and must be forgiven. As the drought-starved eland forgives the drought-starved lion who finally takes her. Enters willingly then the life she cannot refuse, and is lion, is fed, and does not remember the other. So few grains of happiness measured against all the dark, and still the scales balance. The world asks of us only the strength we have, and we give it. Then it asks more, and we give it. Burlap sack. A person is full of sorrow the way a burlap sack is full of stones or sand. We say, hand me the sack, but we get the weight. Heavier if left out in the rain. To think that the sand or stones are the self is an error. To think that grief is the self is an error. Self carries grief as a pack mule carries the side bags, being careful between the trees to leave extra room. The mule is not the load of ropes and nails and axes. The self is not the miner, nor builder, nor driver. What would it be to take the bride and leave behind the heavy dowry? To let the thin-ribbed mule browse in tall grasses, its long ears waggling like the tails of two happy dogs. I live in the town of Mill Valley, which was named after a mill which took all of the redwood trees off Mount Tamalpais after the 1906 earthquake and fire. And if you look at pictures of Mill Valley from 70 years ago, it's a very sunny place. And if you look at Mill Valley now, it's quite shady because all of those trees are coming back. And this poem is about a tree which is rather intimate to me. Tree. It is foolish to let a young redwood grow next to a house. Even in this one lifetime, you will have to choose. That great calm being, this clutter of soup pots and books. Already the first branch tips brush at the window. Softly, calmly, immensity taps at your life. The new book of poems after was written after a period of immense vanishments and disappearance in my life. Family members died, friends died, and there were many public deaths as well, all of which went into this book. And this poem was written very much in the aftermath of that period. It was like this, you were happy. It was like this, you were happy, then you were sad, then happy again, then not. It went on. You were innocent or you were guilty. Actions were taken or not. At times you spoke, at other times you were silent. Mostly it seems you were silent. What could you say? Now it is almost over. Like a lover, your life bends down and kisses your life. It does this not in forgiveness. Between you there is nothing to forgive, but with the simple nod of a baker at the moment he sees the bread is finished with transformation. Eating too is a thing now only for others. It doesn't matter what they will make of you or your days. They will be wrong. They will miss the wrong woman, miss the wrong man. All the stories they tell will be tales of their own invention. Your story was this. You were happy, then you were sad, you slept, you awakened. Sometimes you ate roasted chestnuts, sometimes persimmons.